record. All right, I'm recording. Sweet. All right. So let me go back to the screen share.
You have 12 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen again?
Yep.
All right. Start over. Again, I'd like to thank you guys this morning for joining me early on a Saturday morning. I'm really excited to speak to you guys today, and I'm going to be talking to you about one of the core principles of success, and that is deciding what you want. But there's really three key themes to being successful. I won't be able to talk about all of them, but these, I call them themes because if you read any books on success, if you hear any inspirational stories, you will hear these three themes. And they are defining your vision, dreams, and goals, taking action, and taking 100% responsibility. You'll hear these in almost every inspirational story you hear and any book that you read on success. But today, we're going to be focused on deciding what you want. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story. I have a degree in civil environmental engineering, and I quit to become a stand-up comic. And I say that because most people with common sense, as you would think as engineers, would keep their day job and then do stand-up comedy at night. But I decided not to do that. I'm not that kind of personality. I like to be all in or all out. But I'm going to tell you how I came to this decision. And I had a degree in environmental engineering. I was working as an environmental engineer, and I ruptured my Achilles tendon. And I was in a cast above my knee to my thigh. And I remember it was during the winter, and because I couldn't drive, I had one of the other engineers would pick me up at work, and the days were short. So he'd pick me up when it was dark. He'd drive us to work, and I would, take my crutches and get to my little cubicle. And my little cubicle had a window. I was very lucky. I was one of the few people who had a cubicle with a window, and I would watch the sun rise from my cubicle. And then I watched the sun set, and then I get back on my crutches, get back in my car, and he'd drive me home. And I did that for about 3 weeks. And I had this kind of epiphany. I'm like, what am I doing here? Is this really what I want to do? And I said, well, let me look at it. Let me look 5 years down the road. Is this what I want to do? And I said, no. I said, 10 years down the road. Is this what I want to do? And I said, no. I said, 20 years down the road. Is this what I'm going to do? No. And the reason I did that is because, sometimes you have to sacrifice what you want now for what you want eventually. But I looked at 20 years down the road and I said, is this really what I want to do? And I said, no. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I've always had in the back of my mind that, I'm a funny guy, so I'd like to do stand-up comedy. So I quit to become a stand-up comic. And let's just say there was a lot of learning opportunities there, but I made that decision. And after that decision, I took actions to get me to that picture there where, you can see I had a little more hair. It's about I was 30s there. And that's me at Caroline's on Broadway. So that decision, the actions, the responsibility to it got me to that point. Now, I wish I could say, look, I'm on a sitcom or whatever it was. I did book a national network commercial during this for Afrin nasal spray. So my nose is famous, but the rest of me, not so much. But I'm working on that. I actually got kind of distracted from my dream. I got very sick, and I don't tell people this very often. But I'd like to share it with you because we all get into things that distract us or maybe we allow to distract us from our vision. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And I remember being in the doctor's office, and this guy was the expert in the world. People came from all over the world. He happened to be in New Jersey where I lived. And I remember him telling me, you're going to live with this for the rest of your life. And I remember looking him straight in the eye. I'm like, no, I'm not. I did not want to agree with the idea that I was going to be like this or live like this for the rest of my life. And it took me about a year to get over that illness. And at that point I said, maybe I should have a job that has medical benefits and pays me a little better than what I was making as a stand-up comic at that time. So I decided to go into a very lucrative career of primary school education. That was sarcasm. I'm glad at least one person's smiling at that. That was sarcasm. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love teaching. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today is I love teaching, and hopefully we'll do it in an entertaining way. Yes. I love teaching, but I met my wife and she messed up all my plans. You can laugh at that. She's here. She's heard that joke before, so it's okay. She's blessed that joke. she was working as working at a large medical device company. They needed a corporate trainer. And essentially I said, I could do that job. And I went into corporate training. I got an increase in salary. It was very good for my financials. I basically tripled my income by doing that. So financially, that was a good one. But I've always missed teaching. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today is I really want to teach something that's important to people that I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about teaching these success principles to you. So I want to say, if you listened to me before, I said, I got distracted. Well, I recently decided that stand-up comedy is important to me again. And I started performing again. And I've made that decision that I'm going to do this. And I'm going to share with you my breakthrough goal, which is to be on the Tonight Show. So in 3 years from today, I intend to be on the Tonight Show performing stand-up comedy. Again, just to point out a couple of differences from when I started. Chris with hair, Chris without hair. We can see the very, very stark differences, what happens in 20 years. No graying beard, graying beard. So, just a little difference is what it is. And I bring this up because, look, there are things that will distract you if you allow them. But this is a dream that I've held, and I've decided that this is important to me. So the key thing is here deciding what you want. I'm going to share with you another story about my college roommate. So this is my college roommate. He played 13 seasons in the NFL, and he has a great formula. I sat down with him one time and said, what do you think has made you successful? He went to 5 Super Bowls, by the way. He lost all 5, but he's got a great attitude. He said, I lost the Super Bowl, but I'm going to win the party. So at every Super Bowl party, he won the party. But his formula is D plus A equals R. And what that means is decision plus action equals results. But it all starts with a decision, deciding what you want. Then you take action. From those actions, you get results, and then you can decide whether those actions are getting you closer to your goal, your decision of what you want. We can also look to Martin Luther King. If we remember Martin Luther King's speech, I have a complaint. No, he didn't have a complaint. He had a dream. When you have a dream, that's what inspires people to get involved with you, and people did. You can also think of Elvis. You got to follow that dream wherever that dream may lead. Oh, thank you much. Sorry. I wanted to be an Elvis impersonator, but I don't have the hair for it or the singing ability. But first, you have to have a dream. It starts with that dream, that vision. I love this quote from General Wesley Clark. And when you dream, I want to encourage you to dream a big dream. And he says, it doesn't take any more effort to dream a big dream than it does to dream a small dream. So for me, getting on the Tonight Show, like I was saying, that's a big dream. And I want to bring up that I don't know the how yet. And I bring this up because sometimes we lessen our dream because how am I going to do that? Well, let your subconscious, the universe, whatever you want to say, figure that out. What you want to do is you want to dream your big dream, set in there. And when you do that, your mind starts going, well, how am I going to make that happen? And that's what's been happening with me. I'm like, I have to tell you, this is the easiest stand-up comedy has come for writing for me since I set that dream. And I've been performing on stage, and it's some of the best experiences that I've had recently because I'm really tied to that end goal of ending up on the Tonight Show. So everything I align with that. So dream a big dream. You can also think about Darth Vader. Join me and we will rule the universe as father and son. Ruling the universe is a big dream. I encourage you to have a big dream. We can look to Sir Richard Branson, a famous entrepreneur, owner of Virgin Atlantic Airlines. He says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're too small. So dream that big dream. So what is that big dream for you? I love this one. This is my mentor's mentor. So this would be my grand mentor, I guess. Buckminster Fuller was a famous architect. He was the mentor for Jack Canfield, who I consider one of my mentors. I've actually studied with Jack Canfield. And he says, clarity is power. And this is the geodome that he created. I mean, I love that image of that. Clarity is power. When you know what you want, then you can align your actions to that vision, to that dream, to that goal. So being clear on what you want is important. So you got to decide what you want. And there's really 7 areas to have a really balanced life. There's really 7 areas that you should look into. First is your business, job, career, financial, relationships, health and fitness, fun and recreation, personal and contribution. If you want a truly balanced life, you really want to have something in each one of these areas. So I encourage you to look at these different areas. Now, I'm pretty familiar with the people on this call, and I know some of you are very, very good about setting goals. But I want to ask you, is there one area here where maybe you don't feel like you're living at its full potential? And I'd like you to look at that. Now, you might say, but I don't know where to start. A lot of people don't know where to start. So I'm going to give you a hint on helping people getting to know where to start, and maybe if you're having trouble. What are you grateful for? So look at an area of your life and say, what are you grateful for? And I'll do it really quickly here. For me, it was health and fitness. I'm grateful for the time I get to spend with my kids. What brings you joy? Well, what brings me joy is, quite honestly, playing baseball with my son. I don't know if there's anything right now that gives me more joy than playing baseball with my son. Close second would be performing stand-up comedy. See, joy is a clue that you're on the right path, and it will help you decide if you're having trouble to decide on what a goal is for it. So we have a very limited amount of time, but I'd like for you guys to take a quick minute here and look at these areas and pick one that maybe you're not realizing fully. And just choose the first one that pops out to you. And I'd like you to look at it and say, if everything were ideal, what would this look like for you? And I'll give you an example. So for me, for health and fitness, I've set a breakthrough goal of seeing my abs again. They're there. I saw them once. I think it was about 1984 when I was playing basketball. I saw them. Right now they're covered with extra stored energy. That's what I'm calling the layer of blubber around my abdominal region. So that's a goal that I've set for myself. So by April 14th, 2017, I will see my abs again. So there's a breakthrough goal for me. So I'd like you guys to take a minute to look at one of these areas, and I'll give you 30 seconds here real quickly to think about an area and a goal for you in maybe that area that you aren't realizing fully. So take that, write that down now, or maybe put it on your phone if you don't happen to have a piece of paper or pencil. Now, one of the reasons, so please stop writing right now. You can continue writing after I'm done here. One of the reasons I wanted you to write it down is there's been a lot of studies that show having a dream but writing it down makes you more of a chance for you to achieve that goal or that dream. So it's important that you write it down. I'd like to take a quick moment here. So the next level for it is to share your goal. So if you want to get that goal to be achieved, you should share it with others. Like I shared my goal to see my abs. We're getting a little short on time here. So what I would encourage you to do is maybe share that with someone in your family today. And you'll see that once you share it, it makes it a little more real. So just a kind of insight into this. So I'm actually going to give you some homework. I don't think you guys were necessarily anticipating homework in this quick presentation that I was going to give you, is to do an action item in all 7 areas and to write it down. Now, if you want to get into more of this, I'm doing a half-day workshop. If you're interested in that, in exploring, kind of unpacking this in a little more detail, please come and see me after this presentation or email me, and I'll get you that information. But I encourage you to do this homework and experience what it feels like to write a goal, right? To think about your goal, decide what you want, write the goal, and then share it with other people. And I'm going to end here with what a great quote with someone I truly admire is Theodore Roosevelt. And if you don't know, Theodore Roosevelt's responsible for the Parks program. He's responsible for, I think he wrote 30 books. I mean, it's really just amazing if you read his autobiography. And he says, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. So think about this quote: decision. When you make a decision, you're going to take action on it. And only after you've taken that action can you decide whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing. So you see how all three of these things come together. But it all starts with deciding what you want. Then you can put all these other pieces together to make yourself successful. I thank you all so very much for your time here today. I appreciate it. I encourage you to look into your life and the goals that you want. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, Chris.
Nice.
Good stuff.
All right. Out there. See. So a little bit, I'm going to take I'm going to limit it to 5 minutes for me, Brian, so we can have a little time at the end. So I'd like to maybe hear what worked for you guys first, and then we can get into our areas of improvement. I'm sure there were some. So I'm just going to kind of go in order. So maybe Rodney, you could just.
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Chris, for jumping in and being the guinea pig of kind of building the first presentation, giving us some ideas and kind of how all this can work through Zoom. I think that's important for me just to underscore. So thanks for kind of having the courage and getting out there and making this happen for us. And I've got quite a bit of notes here. I was just really trying to go along with what I heard and what I felt, opposed to really trying to dig into the content flow. I thought the story was good. I really liked the imagery at the beginning with the microphone and the crowd in the background. It gave me an understanding that, wow, you really do take comedy seriously.
I do take my comedy seriously, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I got to know you out in Palm Springs. You're like the brother I never had, so you know that. But I didn't really know if comedy was something, on the sidelines that you were looking to do. So that helped me understand you a little bit more, first and foremost. It gave you some credibility. I think the breakthrough goal was quite astonishing. That's a pretty big time goal. You certainly can do that. The D+A=R for decision action results. It kind of made me think a little bit, with our E+R=O. I mean, all in all, it was a good flow. I think in the 15-minute format of looking through a monitor, it's hard to get kind of a thought with a feeling, with an emotion that creates action. And I'm just not sure if the platform allows that to happen. So I'm not really looking for deep